welcome back to Within Reason. We, in the course of this program, are going to bring you up to date on the great gas grab between the city of Gulf Breeze and their friends on Santa Rosa Island and their cohorts at the Escambia County Commission and what they did without any idea of why they did it. And then we're also going to talk about why it was the Blue Wahoos and not, I mean, it's the Cincinnati Reds. Why isn't it the Red Snappers, the Redfish, or something else?
I wondered, I'm sure there's a reason for this that I just don't know.
Yeah.
The Pensacola Pelicans, you know, it's alliteration. We have lots of pelicans. We like pelicans.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool name.
It was a good name.
And didn't Mr. Studer own the name? Why can't he just
I don't know who owned
put that name on his new team?
I don't know. I don't have any idea.
But I kind of missed the Pensacola Pelicans. That'd be much better than the Blue
something
Wahoos.
about Blue Wahoos. We're not sure. Anyway, and also we're going to talk about, what else was it? Oh, we're later in the program we're going to discuss generally patriotism, and also we'll talk about the residents of Port Royal, which is a beautiful condominium complex on Pensacola Bay, and how the fireworks every Saturday night are causing some problems for the elderly residents there. Okay, what do you have on the defense of marriage?
This started with, and I wound up doing a lot of thinking about this. I mean, it's been a big national issue. In the park a couple of weeks ago, first of all, the mayor came out. I guess this had to do with every Memorial Day, a lot of gay people come and they have rainbow flags, and it's kind of a gay pride celebration, which puts a lot of money in the coffers. I'm not against it. So then a lot of churches, they were in Seville Square, and they were given basically the argument that based on their interpretation of the Bible, we should hate the sin and love the sinner, that, you know, gay activities, the gay agenda, gay sex is wrong and against the Bible. Across the street, we had a lot of people with rainbow signs saying, you know, equality and fairness.
Where were the elected officials? Which side of the street?
The news reported that Mr. Robertson, Wilson Robertson, was with the church group, but as a private citizen, not as a representative of the county commission,
that's amazing.
which he's got every right to do.
Sure he does.
Of course.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And
did he cross the street by any chance just to chit-chat with the gay people?
That was not reported. You couldn't confirm or deny that.
Okay.
I don't know.
I just wondered.
But here's one reflection. If it comes from the Bible, and a lot of it is, well, this is because the Bible says this, or my interpretation of the Bible says that. And my response would be, well, you don't like Sharia law. We couldn't say it's in the Quran or it's an interpretation of the Quran. In fact, the evangelicals are very much opposed and scared of the imposition of Sharia law.
Indeed.
They don't want that. But it's okay to have laws based on the Bible, and if not biblical law, at least laws based on the Ten Commandments and the fundamentals of the Bible as interpreted by these folks.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the question would be, well, why do you say the law from the Quran is no good, but the law from the Bible is something we ought to like and adopt?
Good question.
And the answer would no doubt be, well, because the Bible's true and the Quran is untrue.
Correct.
And then the response is, well, in this country, don't you get to decide for yourself? Don't these other people have the right to decide that you're wrong? And I want to base it on something else. I want to base my life and my votes on something other than the Bible. We should not be bound by biblical principles. Every attempt at theocracy, I wouldn't say they're unsuccessful. The Catholic Church was very successful for centuries, but they've been not anything a reasonable person would want to live under. So
why do you think so-called conservatives are, and that's not fair, some conservatives are so wound up in this imposing upon others their view of religion, as opposed to saying, I, as a true conservative or libertarian, I don't want the government involved.
Saying anything about it.
About anything. Leave me alone. Well, I'm going to do what I want. I mean, my religion is my personal business. My faith is nobody else's business. Why do they want to impose it on everybody else? I don't understand that. They're not really conservatives.
A conservative would say, we've got a government that lets everybody do what they want. When you get government and religion, it's bad for government and bad for religion.
Right.
What they would say in their defense is a tradition, whether you're a Jew or a Catholic or whatever you are, traditionally marriages were only allowed between one man and one woman. that once you depart from that, the justification is that once you depart from that, once you let other arrangements become normalized and accepted, then that dilutes the value of marriage. And one of the comments I heard, and I read all the justifications, was society would become confused and we wouldn't have the proper standards. And wouldn't you love to ask those people, Bob's a good cross-examiner, to say, well, would you be confused? No, I wouldn't be confused. Do you think I would be confused? Name a few people who would get all confused about the proper role of marriage. Really, something that's attacked often gets stronger.
They would say, it's the children we're trying to protect. They get confused when they see two mommies or three daddies and the kids. They get confused.
Now, but the thing about the Defense of Marriage Act is a little better than we are intimating here, because the Defense of Marriage says no state and the federal government doesn't have to recognize any marriages. The federal government won't give you any Social Security money or any other benefits based on a homosexual marriage. That's true to this day, although Obama's now running away from it.
It's not necessary for you to keep throwing that in. You know,
I've really developed a distaste for Obama.
The argument flows so nicely, but and then you just throw in that little barb.
Here is where they're unwilling to go. First of all, the Defense of Marriage Act isn't going to change anybody's behavior. It's an attempt to change people's attitudes about what's a fact on the ground. Now, so that's the top-down view. Don't let people get a different attitude. Down on the ground, people are engaging in and seeing all these different kinds of relationships, for good or ill, and a lot of what goes on in our popular culture is terrible, but it's the truth. So they're saying, don't let them form this accurate view of things, which is traditional family relationships are breaking down.
Do you think that that is a threat to the fabric of society when we have traditional families, mothers and fathers raising kids, and we have all of these children born out of wedlock, and we have fathers going around fathering kids and not even knowing their names, and kids that are in foster care and all of that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Children are, you know, some people have more regard for parakeets than they do for their children. They just, I'm going to have children, and off they go. The government will take care of them. Absolutely. Or people having abortions for birth control, or taking marriage so carelessly that they get married for bad reasons, have children, and then get out of marriage for no reason. And it is bad for society. Out of wedlock births, I often distrust statistics, but the statistics are pretty much overpowering. When a teenage unwed mother gives birth, a good, accurate prediction for that child is not good.
It's not good.
And this has been true for a long time. So there is a breakdown in society. There's a breakdown in traditional values. You cannot legislate it. And forcing some other name on it is ridiculous, especially since what really is demeaning to marriage, and that's what the DOMA is about, and that's what its proponents say, what's really demeaning to marriage isn't a lot of gay people, because a lot of them take marriage very seriously. You know, a lot of heterosexual people say, why do you want this? You want everybody to be as miserable? But here's what's really demeaning marriage. And I looked this up. I did some research about this. Celebrities. Celebrities are killing marriage. Really. I mean, some of these things are outrageous. Britney Spears married some guy, and the marriage lasted, you know, however long they last, a couple of months. And it was really pretty generally understood that they just got loaded on ecstasy and got married, and they really just did it for no reason.
Are you saying celebrities, we should not let them marry?
We shouldn't let them marry, no.
Okay.
We have a Defense of Marriage Act should have a codicil in there that says, and I'll tell you how to define celebrities. Don't worry about that. That's easy. You have a point system. If you're on Oprah, that's a point. You know, if you're on Entertainment Tonight, that's a point. If you've ever met Barbara Streisand, we'll give you half a point for that. Stuff like that.
They can have sex, but you don't want them to get married. I mean, you wouldn't say they couldn't have sex.
Well, no, you couldn't have that.
Okay,
but see, we're talking about the reputation of marriage being demeaned. They're still going to have sex. They're still going to have children. They're still going to behave badly.
I see what you're saying. But yeah,
our children are watching these TV shows where these people get married for 10 minutes, and you know, then they go on TV and say, well, this kid's the best thing that happened to me, and now that I've had this kid, I don't have a husband anymore. Now I'm a whole different person. Well, wait a minute. The kid's home with the nanny, and you're going around telling everybody how great it is to have a kid.
Now, is this a law that you're proposing? Because I like the libertarians.
The Defense of Marriage.
Something's happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm suggesting that if you really want a law that would protect marriage, this is what you do.
All right.
Dennis Rodman, back in his really crazy days, wore a wedding dress to a book signing. Not long after that, he married Carmen Electra. The marriage in Las Vegas, marriage lasted 9 days.
For Dennis Rodman, that was fairly good.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Okay, go ahead.
How do you get divorced in 9 days?
In Las Vegas, it's possible.
I guess it's easy.
Yeah.
20 days. Lisa Marie Presley had a divorce. 20 days after that divorce, she married Michael Jackson. That marriage lasted that marriage actually lasted 20 months. Pamela Anderson and somebody named Kid Rock got married on a yacht in Saint-Tropez. She wore a white string bikini. He wore a white T-shirt and a baseball cap. They had a race to the courthouse to see who could get divorced first, and he beat her to the courthouse by 55 minutes. The marriage lasted a few months.
Now, is that the one that did the porno
I think so.
thing? Can I ask you a question about porno films?
Why do you think I know a lot about
No,
porno?
I just have this question.
Yeah.
Why? Someone told me this. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know this firsthand, but why in the beginning of a porno film does it say that if you copy this, the FBI will come and arrest you and put you in jail?
I don't know.
I mean, the FBI is protecting
the
porn.
celebrities' sex tapes leak, and they get all kinds of press coverage, and they say, "Oh my God, my sex tape leaked. I meant that for just my family. I was going to show it to the kids. I didn't mean for it to get out on the internet." You know. And they all have charities, you know.
Oh, they do.
Some advisor says, "Well, here's a charity that hasn't been taken yet," and then they kind of line up with
All
the
right,
charity.
give me some other examples.
This
I
is all good
didn't mean
stuff,
to
you know?
interrupt you.
Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. Hugh Hefner's like 83 years old, and he's engaged. And in fact, there was even a TV show where this lady was going around picking out wedding stuff. She's like 24, so it's like a 60-year age gap.
And she had no plastic surgery.
Well, she had a little bit. You can't get inside used door without a modest amount of plastic surgery.
Okay.
So she called off the wedding. The reason she called off the wedding was Hugh was seeing other women.
Hugh was what?
Yeah, it was shocking to me.
He was seeing
you would see other women. And the day they were supposed to get married, she was photographed in Vegas in a bikini at a pool party.
Well,
this
Bill,
isn't good for marriage. This is demeaning to everything.
If he's seeing other women, she can go to the swimming pool. I mean, that's a very chauvinistic view that you've got on that.
Well,
all right, what else you got?
It's Hugh's fault. He's demeaning marriage.
Yeah,
I got all of these things.
Do you?
Now, here's some more. Here's another sign that celebrities. I got more of these things that we've been through enough of them.
So
they all stay married for about 10 minutes.
But the law, according to you, should be that if you have a certain number of celebrity points, you can't get married. You can't get married. The higher you go in the celebrity poll. Well, let me ask you this. Yeah. Would that apply to like football players?
It depends if they're celebrities or if they're just football players.
All right,
like Deion Sanders, he's a celebrity.
He's a celebrity. Okay.
And stays a celebrity after football.
Ah, okay. So that's a test.
I mean, that might be a little difficult.
No. Well, what about Roger Federer or somebody like that? I mean, you're an athlete,
but citizen.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
All right, what else you got?
This would apply to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Now here is another reason that indicates that celebrities are not taking marriage seriously. They give their children names really you wouldn't give to a parakeet. I mean, there's some of these names. Nicolas Cage. Let me see. I got this. Nicolas Cage. He likes comic books and he likes Superman. And in the Superman comics was somebody named Kal-El. I think it was Superman's father back on the planet Krypton. He named his kid that.
Kal-El?
Kal-El. That's his kid. Kal-El. K-A-L-E-L.
I kind of like that.
How about Pilot Inspector? And Inspector spelled with a K. I-N-S-P-E-K.
His name is Pilot Inspector?
Pilot Inspector.
That'd be a little rough to carry with you. What
How about this?
All right.
Now, this is Fifi Trixie Bell. That's the child of Bob Geldorf and Paula Yates. Fifi Trixie Bell.
Who is that, though? Who's that celebrity couple?
Bob Geldorf is some kind of a big mover and shaker out in Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Sage Moonblood was the son of Sylvester Stallone. And of course, the all-time, here's something, wait a minute. This is good. There's somebody named Maddox who named his kid Morrow. Somebody named Morrow named his kid T.U. Morrow, tomorrow. So your kid's name is a little joke that's amusing for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but the kid's stuck with it. It's crazy.
All of his life.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's. I'll just skip to the bottom. How about Moxie Crime Fighter? That's the child of Pendulum.
Moxie Crime
Fighter. And the number one crazy celebrity name of all time, Jermaine Jackson, who's the brother of Michael Jackson, named his daughter Jer Majesty. Why not? Michael Jackson had a couple of kids, allegedly, and the first kid was Prince Michael, and the second kid was Prince Michael II, also called Blanket.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people
Not good.
that name the kids the same name.
Yeah.
Several kids the same name. I know that. It's possible to do that.
happen.
Yeah.
But that's
we've spent probably a little more time on this, and we've already
certainly more than it deserves.
Well, we lost most people who are with us on our more interesting stuff, and so we got to. Yeah, I think so. We got
anything about celebrities keeps the audio.
It does.
Turn in the morning news shows, and all they talk about are celebrities. What was on American Idol and Lindsay Lohan? This is shocking. Lindsay Lohan got another DUI or some nonsense. I mean, people care about it.
In the meantime,
so I thought I'd tap into that.
We're writing out of the Constitution the right to have counsel when you're arrested by the military, incarcerated away from your family and friends, and disappear.
People don't care about that.
That's just a minor thing that they include.
Because that won't happen to me.
Yeah. Well,
if you don't have anything to hide, you don't need a lawyer.
Yeah. It's just like if you don't have anything to hide, why do you mind if they search you, right? Yeah. It's always the same story.
And then you get the great names like the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act.
Oh, don't start
which is this big boom. Or the Patriot Act.
Yeah, well,
which takes away your rights.
The Patriot Act is complete bogus, but don't get whacking on Obamacare. That's the law of the nation.
The Republicans are now calling their repeal bill the Repeal the Obamacare Jobs Killing Bill. I mean, they've got all these things. They keep trying. They keep repealing it. And the Senate doesn't pay attention to it.
You know what the polls are showing? People are tired of hearing about it. They say, listen, let's try it for a while. Let's see, because what we've got is awful.
Oh, yeah.
So Governor Scott, though.
This is Rube Goldberg. This is terrible. This is really going to be terrible. Wait till the penalties start kicking in.
Well, Governor Scott said he's not going to do it. No, he's not going to do it.
That's a tough decision because the feds are going to come up with all the money. It may be a bad idea, but we're already paying taxes for it, so we might as well get some of the cash and expand the...
It's a huge expansion for the Medicaid population in Florida. I mean, you're talking about lots of people that would now be covered. So it's a tough thing for the governor to decide.
Are they going to find doctors to take Medicaid?
Well, now a lot of doctors don't take it.
Well,
because
the doctors will tell you, and I believe them, they all tell you this. Every time I see a patient, I've got a certain amount of overhead that I can calculate. I have staff, I have to keep my license up, I got to keep the lights on in this place, I got to rent a building, I got equipment.
Yacht payments?
No, just overhead.
Oh, okay.
Overhead.
Yeah.
And the Medicaid reimbursement isn't enough to pay overhead. Medicare is a little bit better.
You know a lot of poor doctors? See, this is one of the problems with their arguments, and the hospital has the same. The hospital has the same problem. How many poor hospitals do you know?
I don't know. Some specialties they work awful hard and.
No, I'm a big fan of the doctors, and you and I've talked about this before. But time to take a break, huh? But in fact, we don't see poor hospitals. We see all these beautiful new hospitals being built, and so it's kind of hard for the public to understand. Okay, what's the problem?
We see the administrators of the hospital making out pretty well. We're a nonprofit, which doesn't mean they can't pay. Big salaries.
Big salaries in a profit. We're going to be back here in a minute to talk about the great Gulf Breeze gas grab and how our Escambia County kind of just told the city of Pensacola take a walk, but they may regret this. We'll be back here shortly with that and more.